Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Swanee, and for today's video, I'm going to be giving you all a quick update on the state of Helldivers 2, and I'm going to quickly go over my first impressions of the new RL-77 Airburst Rocket Launcher. So first up, I'm sure you're probably aware of the current major order by now, where we have to decide as a community if we want to liberate the planet of Penta or Kuhi, and whichever we decide to liberate first determines which new stratagem we will receive. If we take the planet of Penta, we will get the new Airburst Rocket Launcher, and if we take the planet of Kuhi, we get the MD-17 anti-tank mines. So if we go and take a look at the galactic map, it looks like the community has already decided that we're probably going to be getting the Airburst Rocket Launcher. And currently, as of recording this video, we have liberated over 30% of Penta, and we don't even have access to Kuhi at the moment. Now, this could just be because the community would much rather have a rocket launcher over more mines. I know that the other mine stratagems aren't exactly a fan favorite, so this could very well be why everyone is choosing the rocket launcher, but I feel like a lot of it has to do with the lack of communication and the lack of supply lines on the galactic war map. Currently, there's no indicator of which planets we need to take in which order to get access to what planets, and for the community to even get access to the planet Kuhi, we have to take Minkent, which is in a completely different sector. So my guess is that the community isn't aware of this. I mean, the casual player has no way of knowing what the supply lines are, so they're going to attack which planets make the most sense according to the way it looks. And as of recording this, there's over 87,000 players on Penta and only about 7,000 on Minkent, which we need to liberate if we want to unlock Kuhi. So I would assume that the lack of supply lines and communication is definitely playing a pretty big factor in the way this major order is turning out. That, and if you complete missions on the planet Penta right now, they give you access to the new Airburst Rocket Launcher as an additional bonus stratagem. So of course, obviously everyone's going to go to Penta because we get access to this new stratagem and everybody wants to play with the new toy. So if you were rooting for the anti-tank mines, it unfortunately doesn't look like they stand much of a chance. Now next up, I want to give you guys my first impressions of the new rocket launcher, give you guys the ins and outs of it and how I personally feel about the new weapon. But first, I want to say that this video is sponsored by me and my other videos. We've been trying to switch it up with some of the content we've been making for Helldivers recently. Yesterday we did a top 10 most annoying enemies video, and then last week we did a fun video where we let a wheel decide our loadouts on Helldive difficulty, and that was really fun and a lot of people seem to enjoy that. So if you're a fan of Helldivers 2, which you probably are if you're watching this video, I highly recommend our two previous videos because they took us a long time to make and everyone in the comments seemed to really enjoy them. Alright, so as for the new stratagem, the RL-77 Airburst Rocket Launcher. As I said, if you play on the planet Penta, you get this as a bonus stratagem today, so I played a number of different matches this morning, and I tested it out in a number of different scenarios, and I gotta say, I'm not a big fan of the RL-77 Airburst Rocket Launcher, and I don't think too many members of the community are either. If you go take a look at the Helldivers Reddit, there's already a number of different posts popping up about this weapon. We have this one. It says, "My honest reaction when it doesn't kill armored enemies." It says, "I don't want to play with you anymore." And they're going back to the Quasar cannon. And then we have this post that says, "The rocket launcher is not what we thought. The gun feels like mines, but over the air. On to liberate Penta, but I'm not sure if we took the right choice." Then the top comments are, "Got the launcher, said I'd give it a test, wiped out myself and half my squad, said I probably need more distance next time, so I had another go at a more distance target, wiped out myself and the rest of the squad mate said I'm not doing it right and he'll show me how to do it, wiped out himself and the rest of the squad, 10 out of 10, would wipe squad again." So this is just a couple examples of people not being a big fan of the weapon. And I will say right out of the get-go that this new Airburst rifle is very easily going to take the #1 spot at accidentally killing Helldivers. It's insane. It's basically just a rocket launcher that shoots cluster bombs, except that it has a proximity fuse where if anything, and I mean anything, is near the rocket when you shoot it, it's going to explode. So if a bush or a tree or a rock or an enemy or a teammate or a supply crate or literally anything is near the path of the rocket, it is going to detonate the rocket early and blow up in your face. And I think this is where a lot of people are going to struggle and they're going to hate this Airburst rocket launcher. Alright, so let's talk basics. When you call in the Airburst rifle, it's going to come come in with the launcher itself, which comes by default with 1 rocket, and then it comes with a supply backpack, just like the recoilless rocket launcher and the autocannon, and it will hold an additional 5 extra rockets. So what this means is that if you're completely out of ammo and you call in a resupply, you want to take one of the resupply boxes, reload your weapon, and then pick up a second resupply box if you want to get the maximum amount of ammo from a resupply. If you go and pick up a resupply box without reloading first, then you're only going to get 5 rockets instead of 6. So you definitely want to make sure you have a rocket reloaded before you pick up resupplies. And just like the recoilless rocket launcher and the autocannon, this Airburst rifle can be team reloaded, so if your teammate has the ammo backpack and you are holding the Airburst rifle, or vice versa, you can continuously feed each other rockets and shoot all 6 in rapid fire succession. Now, I don't recommend doing this until you really get the hang of this weapon, or if you're in really good positioning, because rapid firing these rockets is a surefire way to kill you and your teammates. I know, because I tested it out a number of different times and I died a number of different times. So next up, I tested this against a number of different enemy types to see just how good it was at killing everything, and I tried it against gunships, and it absolutely blows against gunships. I tried a number of different times to take out gunships, and it's just absolutely awful. There are just so many other better options at taking out gunships. I would just avoid the Airburst rifle when it comes to gunships. It just doesn't do enough damage. Now, it can blow up the robot factory, so if you come across a side objective and there's an automaton factory you need to blow up, it can blow up the factory, but I recommend that you get very far away from it, and you have to line up the shot perfectly or it's not going to blow up the factory. So this isn't the ideal option for blowing up these factories either, because you can very easily miss and it's going to send shrapnel everywhere but inside of the factory, and you're going to find yourself wasting a lot of your shots. So it can blow up the factories, it's just not the ideal choice. Then there was a number of different scenarios where I was going up against Hulks, and it is not very good at taking out Hulks either. In one of the clips, I was going up against a Hulk, and we were team reloading it, and I shot 6 Airburst shots into the Hulk, and it did not kill the Hulk. I tried shooting its eye, I tried shooting at its feet so that the little clusters would try to hit its back, I tried different angles. I went up against a number of different Hulks, and I was having very little luck. So I don't recommend it against Hulks either, it's just not the go-to choice. Same thing kind of goes for tanks and the cannons that are positioned throughout the map. Anything that has a heat sink, it's going to be very hard to accurately hit the heat sinks. Now, there was a couple different scenarios where I was trying to fight tanks. One tank, I wasn't able to blow it up at all, and I just gave up and ran away. Then I was facing a different variation of the tank, and I was able to finally blow up one of the tanks just by sheer luck and getting some of those clusters to hit the heat sink in the back. So it can be done, it's just very difficult. And then for the factory striders, I saw this post on Reddit. It says the Airburst is kind of neat, it can kill walkers. And I found this post to be a little misleading because I tested it out against walkers, and I shot so many airbursts into these factory striders. I know one of the factory striders, I shot 9 airbursts. I had to call in a resupply and get more ammo to keep shooting this thing, and it still kept going. I gave up. I just killed it with a rail cannon strike because I got tired of shooting the thing. So I think that Reddit post is a little misleading. I think what they didn't show you was all the airstrikes they hit it with before they got lucky with one airburst shot. But I tried it on a couple of different missions, so it wasn't just a one-time thing, and I even got straight up underneath of it and shot it point blank to try to see if it would do any additional damage, and I was having no luck at all. Now, this doesn't mean that it's impossible to kill the factory striders with the Airburst. I'm sure that it can be done, but in my 3 matches of testing that I did, I wasn't able to kill a single factory strider with it. The Airburst is just so inaccurate with the clusters, it's very hard to end up hitting the weak spots of the factory strider. So when it comes to taking out factory striders, I don't recommend the Airburst rifle. There are just so many other stratagems that are better suited for the job. Alright, so I talked about all the things that it can't kill and everything that it's bad against, but what is the Airburst rocket launcher actually good at? Well, I found that it's really good at taking out small groups of patrols, or anytime reinforcements are called in and they drop off a bunch of enemies in one spot, it's good at taking out all those reinforcements. And anytime I stumbled across a smaller objective where maybe there was some samples samples, or it was a small little mini base with some factories, and there's normally a small group of like 5 to 6 enemies in those spots, it's really, really good at just taking out all those enemies in one go. So anytime I came across one of these side objectives, I would just shoot in one rocket and the clusters would blow up everything in the area. And like I said, it's really fun if you come across a patrol and there's like 7 or 8 enemies in one spot, it can kill all of them in one go. So it's really good at those type of scenarios. This is definitely an ad clearing rocket launcher designed to take out small enemies and not so much the big enemies. So if you use it against the bigger enemies, you're going to be disappointed. I will say though, it does struggle against some of the medium armored enemies like the rocket devastators or the heavy devastators. I had mixed results with them. Sometimes they would die immediately, and other times I would shoot them with 2 to 3 airburst rockets and they would still survive. So my testing was all over the place when it came to dealing damage to the heavy devastators. So to summarize the Airburst Rocket Launcher, I just don't think it's a good option against the automatons. I think this is going to be one of those situational stratagems that's more designed for the Terminids. I think this is actually going to be a great weapon to use against the Terminids, because the Terminids love to cluster up. When you face the Terminids, there's normally 20 to 30 to sometimes even 40 bugs all in one spot. And if you shoot a cluster into a group of 40 bugs, you're going to get a ton of kills. I feel like it's also going to be absolutely amazing when it comes to taking out the bug nests. So anytime you have a Terminid mission where it's like, go destroy 50 eggs, I feel like one of these cluster rockets is going to take out pretty much an entire nest in just 1 to 2 rockets. So it's definitely unfortunate that our first experience with the Airburst rifle is against the automatons, because I definitely feel like this is going to be a Terminid support weapon. So as I said earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of the Airburst rocket launcher right now. I feel like I'm going to enjoy it a lot more once I get to finally test it out against the Terminids. So when you're using the Airburst rifle, 1, make sure there's no teammates near you. 2, make sure that your shot is wide out in the open, there's no trees or bushes or rocks in the path of your rocket. And 3, make sure you target large groups of enemies that are clustered up together, and that's where you're going to see the most success with the Airburst rocket launcher. And before I go, there's been a last minute update that I wanted to add at the end of the video here. There's been a ton of backlash on the subreddit and in the Discord about this new stratagem. So Spitz, one of the community managers over on the Discord, had this to say. They said that the major build update next week is going to push out the intended final version of the Airburst launcher and mines, or rather push out a bunch of fixes for some issues with both of them. So the version you're using right now doesn't have those fixes attached. It wasn't guaranteed whether the community would get access to the 2 stratagems before the next patch, so the current version in the game is in a playable state, but likely to perform differently after we move into the next patch. I'm also not sure if the fixes for these stratagems are in the initial build release or the first hotfix, but both are scheduled for next week. So a lot of the issues that people are having with this new stratagem might be subject to change within the next week. And when they make changes to this Airburst rocket launcher, I'll be sure to make another video to keep you guys updated. So that's going to do it for all my first impressions of the Airburst rocket launcher. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the thumb up button. It's greatly appreciated and it helps me out in the algorithm. And if you're new here, consider hitting the subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any future Helldivers 2 videos. And that is going to do it for me, and I will talk to you guys next time.